Welcome to the Grizzled Geologist podcast. I'm your host, Keith Carden. I'm here at one of my favorite spots in Oklahoma City, Lake Hefner, and I kind of brought my field set up because we're going to be talking about field gear today. I brought a gentleman on named Brian Saunders. He's reached out to me. He's calling me from Canada, and we're going to talk about his company and a product that he's developed for his time working and living in the Pacific Northwest. We are going to learn about how he thinks that this product is a good fit for field geologists and all the gear that we've got to carry. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, thegrizzledgeologist.com. I'm definitely looking for some more guests. I've got a good lineup coming. We're going to have Matt Hatami back, Molly Turco, among several other people. So make sure you stay tuned, follow my LinkedIn updates, and we're here to learn a little bit about a new product. So Brian, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how we got here?
All right. So for most of my career, I've worked as a forester on the west coast of Canada, and that's been down south near Vancouver, on Vancouver Island, and up north. Actually, I lived for 6 years on the islands of Haida Gwaii, and from the north end of the island, you can see the Alaska Panhandle. So it's pretty far north, and
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that was probably the most challenging field work I did was when I was up there. And that's mostly because of the weather.
Okay.
The weather in the winter can be pretty challenging.
I bet.
So, I think I've been fortunate that throughout my career, I've always had a good mix of office and field work. I even, as a consultant, I was still able to get out in the woods, which I always loved doing.
Yeah.
But when I started work as a consultant about a dozen years ago, an iPad had become very much standard equipment for anybody in the forest industry. Like you couldn't go out in the woods without it because all the information you needed to do your job was on it, and all the data you were going to capture was going to go onto it. So
Sure. And that's regardless of whether you had signal, I bet. You're able to kind of download your information and have it with you and be out there in the field,
Yeah.
with or without internet, I guess.
Yeah, and certainly up north, you never had cell service.
Right.
And even on down south on Vancouver Island, you could count on it maybe about 50% of the time. And so you always had to be able to work offline. But it was a transformation. Like the improvement in access to information when you're out in the field was phenomenal. Like you could have really no limit to how much data you could take with you.
Yeah.
So rather than having it all in a file box behind the seat of your truck, it was on the device.
On your iPad. Yeah, and you could have papers and maps and whatever else you needed on there.
Yep.
I'm going to jump in. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I was going to say for navigation, it was great as well. I mean, you didn't have to keep track of where you were with a map and compass anymore.
Yep. Well, and what I was going to say is that, full disclosure, I'm an inside geologist for the most part. I have spent a bit of time in the field, but I've been a desk guy. I take an RV out with my kids, and I have done in the recent past. My brother-in-law is a miner, so I've been out there. But what I wanted to say is that early on in my career, I had there was a software company called Midland Valley. They're somebody else now, but they did have a field geologic software, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you're saying with the iPad was a game changer because this was, let's call this 17, 16 years ago, I was still having to walk out with a cell phone receiver, a laptop, like a tough book that you'd have to flip up, and it weighed 10 pounds. And I had to have my compass, and I had to have a GPS, and I had, now the map was integrated into the software, but I do have a little bit of experience, is my point, with all the stuff as a geologist that we've had to schlep. And this transition to the iPad, I kind of watched happen, because now you have the inclinometer, which, functions as your compass. You've got your map on the software. You've got your GPS. It's all integrated in a thin little tablet.
Yeah.
Yes, game changer. We kind of, both of us lived through the transition. So your product, you have definitely kind of developed towards more of the modern age, where we're dealing with little laptops and tablet sized devices now.
Yeah. So the one challenge I had with using the iPad, I mean, I loved having it. It's great to have, but I was trying to carry it in a field vest. So I would put it on the inside pocket of my field vest, and it was hard to get it in. It was hard to take it out. It would fall out. or I would fall on it and bruise my ribs. It seemed like the iPad was tougher than I was. So I just got fed up with having to pack this thing around. And
Sure.
so I actually had my grandmother's treadle sewing machine, because you couldn't sew the fabric that you needed to make a chest pack out of on a regular sewing machine.
Okay.
And so I made a chest pack for myself, and then I used it for a couple of weeks in the field, and I thought, oh, it's pretty good. I really like it. And then I had a colleague say, hey, how did that chest pack work out? And I said, well, it was pretty good. He said, well, can I try it? So I loaned him the one I made for myself, and he had it for a couple of weeks. And so I called him and said, well, can I get it back? And he said, no, you can't have it back. You're going to have to make another one for yourself, because I am not giving this up. And so then I started thinking that, well, maybe there's other people that would like this. And so I engaged with a friend of mine who's a good seamstress, and we did, a bunch of prototypes that I tried out for a while, and then would loan them to other people to get feedback. And then we did a small production run, and the feedback was really good. And
Okay.
so then, then I got a couple thousand of them made in China. And
Wow.
started the journey to get them into the hands of more people. The funny
Did you
thing was,
start with Forest Service people and kind of people in your particular niche, or did you already know that there was going to be another market and kind of a target audience that would work with this product?
I didn't. Because this was pretty early days still in using tablet computers. So
Okay.
people in the forest industry were adopting them fairly quickly, especially smaller companies. The bigger organizations were slower to take it on, just because there's just more barriers to take on a new product or
Sure.
change the way you're doing things. But small companies were jumping on the bandwagon very quickly, because they could
Okay.
see that, you got the owner of the company, he's got like 50 employees, and his employees come and say, hey, this would help us out. Well, he could make a decision in a minute to
Sure.
adopt their use. So
Sure.
that was most of my customers initially, were smaller businesses.
Okay.
And then it started to pick up with bigger companies, and then other industries would find our website and buy it. And so some of our
Okay.
first customers were actually geologists working in northern Canada. And
Okay.
I had really good feedback from them as well. And part of that, the first production, was finding out what features we needed in the next version.
Hmm.
And so it was kind of funny, because I thought that we had a great product as is. And then I'd go to a trade show, and I'd have the opportunity to talk to a bunch of different customers. And they were like,
Sure.
can you make one that folds out to hold the tablet? And I'm
Huh.
thinking, no, it's fine the way it is. But after you hear that a dozen times, you got to do something about it. So that's what we have now, is
Okay.
from that feedback. And it's getting used in like lots of different industries. Most people buy the one that folds out to support the tablet, but we have another one that's it's a pouch that you can drop the tablet into and carry
Okay.
it on your
And just
chest.
pull it out. Sure.
But then you
Okay.
have to hold it in your hands. And what I
And that's
didn't,
nice. So, and we'll show this feature, but that is nice. You have free hands and basically a little table for your tablet. How nice is
yes,
that?
yeah,
Nice.
and you can uh, it when you store it against your chest, it's in portrait, but you can fold it out, push it away from your body, and turn it landscape or portrait, and then you can also remove it. So there's a quick release on the back of the tablet, so the tablet's always attached to it, and
Okay.
there's a lanyard attached to that, so that if you drop it, it doesn't go anywhere. That
Okay.
you can't lose it, you can't damage it by dropping it on the ground.
Okay.
And when I actually had the idea that it needed to be attached all the time, because I had a customer tell me that they bought one of our chest packs because they were crossing a talus slope. It was a geologist, actually, and they're crossing a talus
Okay.
slope, and they dropped their Panasonic tablet,
Yeah.
and it went 300 meters down that talus slope.
Oh gosh.
And
Yep.
he said it actually still worked when they've recovered it, but the glass was broken.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that creates when you're out in the field and that device breaks,
Project over. Right.
yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Sure.
And
So
so
go ahead.
they've flown in, they've spent huge money on flying into where they're going to work for the day, and now their device that they use for navigation, reviewing data, capturing data, they can't use it.
Right.
Like it's
No,
not
it's
just
a
the cost of
catastrophe.
replacing the glass, it's getting there and all those other things
Yeah,
that make it so expensive. So
yeah.
they
And
bought
the
one
more the
because
remote, the worse it'll be.
yep,
So,
they wanted to make
yeah.
sure that was never going to happen again.
Well, so what about this product is seems to be working for geologists in
Well,
particular?
so uh, I really didn't have that good of an appreciation for what a geologist's day-to-day job was like when they're out in the field. But
Yeah.
last year I went to a conference in Vancouver, a geology conference, and it gave me the chance to talk to a bunch of different geologists about their work.
Hmm.
And what I couldn't believe was how much gear a geologist has to carry. Plus, they've got to pick up rock samples. So
Yep.
my gear gets lighter as the day goes by because I eat my lunch, I drink all the water in my bag, but they're picking up rocks and filling up a
Yeah.
backpack with rocks.
Yep. Sample
So
bags, marking them up, and yep.
yeah, and so they've already got lots of gear, but then they're adding rocks to it, which seems like madness to me. And they're wearing a vest, but then they have to have a backpack over top of it because they can't carry everything in a vest. And you
My
can't wear the
brother-in-law
backpack.
uses a vest that I was very impressed with, where it had some stuff in the back, some space, and he was putting his samples back here, but he wouldn't carry a backpack. Oh, like to your point, you can't do a vest and a backpack
Not, but
comfortably.
there's lots of geologists that do because that's the only option they have.
Right.
So they wear a
Right.
vest, but you can't do up the hip belt on the vest properly. So all that weight's
Right.
on your shoulders, and the vest is hot. They're heavy. I had a friend of mine who's worked in the forest industry for 40 years. He said to me, well, Brian, the only time a vest is actually comfortable is when there's nothing in it. And I thought,
Right.
yeah, that's true. And anyway, so I just think like our chest packs are designed specifically to be comfortable worn under a vest. Like we made sure that it was going to work with a backpack because probably half of our customers have to wear a backpack in order to carry things like food, water, first aid kit, survival gear, extra
Yep.
clothing, and for geologists, rocks. So most of the time I worked in the woods, I would wear with one of our chest packs, I'd wear like a 30-liter backpack in the winter. In the summer, I didn't have to carry extra clothing. And so I could get away with like a small camelback
Mm.
backpack.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's way more comfortable than a vest.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's
But
not
you're
as
saying
hot
you can
either.
put a vest over it. And so what is the actual name of this project that we're talking about? The
Yeah, so we've got two. So the
Okay.
Jervis pack it's like our original packs in that it's just a pouch that you can put
Okay.
things in on the front.
Yep.
And it allows you to carry, you can carry a tablet computer and a pair of binoculars and some tools or, whatever you need to put in that pouch.
Uh-huh.
But what most people are buying is the Ruxton pack, which actually folds out to support the tablet. So you can fold it out, you push the tablet away from your body and you can turn it landscape or portrait and you can remove
Okay.
it. It's got a quick release on the back of the tablet that engages with a quick release that slides on rails inside the pack.
Okay.
And you can remove it, take a picture, put it back. It's actually the quick release we use. It's a German company that they've got the most ingenious quick releases. Like they're magnetic assisted. So you just get the two parts close together and they engage.
And they'll snap. Okay.
It's a great quality product.
Now, is the laptop attached to the actual shelf? Like it's
Yeah.
attached to the shelf itself, and then that shelf is connected to the body, and it has some fail safes also, right?
Yeah. Like there's a lanyard that you can
Okay.
leave attached to the tablet all the time for the
Okay.
laptop. But I
Okay.
mean, I'd say 98% of our customers, they use a tablet with it, but we've got a few that use a laptop with like a
Sure.
really small laptop you could fit inside of it. And we've got 3 different sizes of the pack. So the size is geared around the size of the tablet computer.
Interesting. Okay.
But the harness is honestly, it is one size fits all. Like I've got a friend of mine who claims she's 5'1", but I know she's rounding up
Yeah.
and probably like 110 pounds. And she said it's the first field gear she's ever had that fit her petite frame. And then I've
Okay.
got a couple fellas I know that are, they're like 6'7", 6'8",
Couple
and
big boys.
280 pounds, and it fits them.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
And there's no loose webbing because you can roll up the end of the webbing that's secure, so it's secured, so you don't have to worry about it getting caught on anything. Yeah, once you set it up to fit your body, it fits great. The only time you ever have to adjust it is if you put on a winter jacket, then you've got to let some slack out on the webbing belt that goes around behind your back.
Well, what kind of materials are you using for this product? So it sounds like you're using a really interesting German mechanism for the clasp.
Yeah.
What's the overall material of the packs themselves?
Yeah, so the harness it's a polyester mesh and
Okay.
with nylon webbing and standard buckles like you'd find on a backpack. And the pack, which the bag that you wear attached to that harness, is made from product like it's a coated nylon. So it's
Okay.
polyurethane coated nylons.
Okay.
It would be heavier than what you'd find on most backpacks because I know that our customers, they expect it to last, and it needs to
Okay.
last in really challenging conditions.
So you've got a little thicker gauge, durable nylon material.
Yeah, a like a heavy duffel bag would be made from 1000 denier cordura fabric,
Right.
and a backpack would probably be made from 400 denier nylon. So it's
Okay.
just, much lighter weight. But I thought our customers would probably be willing to sacrifice and have a little bit heavier product and have something that was really durable rather than me trying to save, like if we went with really lightweight fabric, we could probably shave off, 150 or 200 grams maybe. But then
Sure.
you're going to get something that you could, if you catch it on a rock or something, it could
Right.
rip.
Well, in all cases, people are walking through the bush, you're scrambling up along rocks and outcrops. And yeah, no, every piece of gear on people that are out hiking around and spending time outside definitely takes wear and tear. So a thicker, stronger material makes sense for sure.
Yeah. And the only thing we ever have fail on it is the zipper that to fold the pack out, you undo a zipper, and that zipper is the only thing that ever fails. And it's
Okay.
probably only like, 3 or 4 pieces out of 1,000. And usually it's because the customers get it dirty and they never clean it, and so it just wears out. But if you keep that zipper clean, it should last for years. Like I actually just heard from one of our customers who's had his for 5 years,
Mhm.
and still he said it's like new still.
So how long ago did you come out with this product?
Well, the one we've got on the market now was the beginning of 2019 that we made it available. So
Okay.
I had a version before that, but that's the one that really, it was just a pouch that you'd put the tablet into. So we have
Yeah.
both versions now. So we have the version that folds out to support the tablet and the version that's just a pouch to carry a tablet or other items in.
Now, do you have anything else on it, like MOLLE straps or any other kind of connection points or, extra pockets or anything like that?
Well, yeah, and that was part of what was an interesting part of the journey was figuring out what people actually needed for accessories. So the basic pack, it comes all black and it's attached to a MOLLE harness. So for
Okay.
anybody that doesn't know MOLLE, it's a system developed by the US military, and it's just horizontal rows of webbing that you can weave a stave through to
Yep.
attach items. So the pack attaches to the middle of the harness, and then on the basically over top of your hip, you can attach any MOLLE accessory. We have a few. So we've got like a radio holster, a bottle
Okay.
holster. A bottle holster usually gets used for spray paint. Some people put a
Okay.
water bottle in it,
Uh-huh.
um, a shoulder pocket. And I'll send you pictures of these things too, so you
Yeah,
can
sure. We'll
even
show them
have them
here.
into the
Yep.
video. The shoulder pocket and a utility pouch. And the utility pouch is like it's got a main compartment that you could put like a laser rangefinder in or a small pair of binoculars. And then on the outer pocket, it's like pen and pencil slots. So you
Okay.
can put a knife and a felt pen and
So you've got some access points and accessories where we can get our gear quick and
yeah.
easy.
So
Great.
with the accessories we have, you can customize it so that it suits the equipment that you have to carry. Oh, and the front of the pack is it's plain black, so there's no pockets on it, but there's a
Okay.
zipper around the outside of the pack that allows you to change it to a high vis. So you could make it an orange front
Okay.
with reflective tape, or you could add a front cover that has pockets. So either in black or orange.
Very
And
cool.
and
And so that's an additional add-on that you can buy. You just unzip the thing and zip the accessory in. That's
yeah,
cool.
and we've
Cool.
got a high vis shoulder cover, so it puts reflective tape on the shoulder yoke, and we have one. It's a package that includes the high vis front cover with pockets and the shoulder cover, and
Okay.
probably about 50% of what we sell is that particular package because people want
Okay.
that extra carrying capacity in the front pockets.
Yeah. Okay.
And we tried to make those pockets versatile by there's actually a divider inside the pocket that you can remove. So if you've got a large item that you want to put across the full width of the pocket, you can remove the divider. But if you've got
Nice.
two small items, like it could be a roll of flagging tape and a compass, you could put that in that pocket and they'd be separated by the divider.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, so where can we find your product? And, so you've got a website, you have stuff in stock and you're shipping from Canada. Tell us a little bit about how we find you and where we can learn more about the product.
Yeah, so we've got in the US, we've had a dealer in the US that's been great for us. That's Forestry Suppliers, and
Okay.
I expect they're probably the biggest retailer of forestry related equipment in the world.
Yeah.
They've got I think their warehouse is in Georgia, and so you can get it there. You can go to Forestry Suppliers and you can get all our products there. We have our own website, which is fitekgear.com. So FITEKGEAR.com.
Okay.
And you'll find everything there. We warehouse it all in Canada near Toronto, but the
Okay.
warehouse has a truck that goes across the border every day. And so we look after customs clearance and paying duties and they just drop it off with a courier.
So
So
that's what I was going to ask. So we can still get it shipped in a reasonable amount of time
yeah,
and get the product.
yeah, they're really good. They usually when if somebody places an order on the website, usually the next day they'll drop it off with a courier in Buffalo, New York. And
Okay.
then depending on where you are in the US, it might take 5 or 6 days if you're in California and 2 days if you're in Pennsylvania, so it's about that. And most customers what I've found is most people, they just want to know when it's going to be there. They're not that concerned about having it tomorrow. They just want to
Sure.
know, oh, okay, well, I
They
can
just need
expect
to
it
know
in
when.
seven
Well, because
days.
they've got
That's
their
fine.
stuff together and they're doing it ahead of time.
Yeah,
So that's great.
usually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Great.
Yeah. And we have a distributor based in the Netherlands and one in Australia as well. So you can
Okay,
get,
so you're global and you've got this, and with this forestry supplier, it sounds like a growing and kind of known product. That's really cool.
yeah, I'd say a lot of our sales now are repeat customers.
Okay.
So, it's usually the way it starts is somebody within a bigger company buys one to try it out and then they talk it up with their colleagues. And then
Yeah.
a few months later, we get an order for 10 pieces to
Okay.
go to, a geology company here or a forestry company there.
Sure.
Yeah, sales are definitely, they're picking up in other parts of the world, but uh, probably 40% of our sales are in Canada. So there's lots of
Okay.
room for growth in other regions. And
Yeah.
certainly outside of the forest industry, there's lots of room for growth. And the way I see it is anybody that has to carry a tablet computer for more than 20 minutes is looking for a place to put it down because you don't
For
want to
sure.
have it in your hand for any
No.
length of time.
Nope. And don't
And
want
so
to take
that's
your
lots of
backpack off
different,
every time and deal with all this
yes.
hassle, right? Or feel it weighing down your coat, right?
Yeah, and so there's so many different industries that have people that fit that description. So it's container ports and mining and utility companies. Like we've sold lots to like power companies that are managing transmission lines and municipal government. So you think like a lot of them are using it for managing their urban forests and other kinds of infrastructure within the city. But yeah, if you could think of somebody that's walking around all day with a tablet computer, that's our
It
customer.
suits their. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Construction
Go ahead.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
construction. I can think of a company in the US that they specialize in a rebar that's for concrete. They do concrete work, and
Yep.
all their and safety documentation is on a tablet computer, and they have to be out on a work site, and they have to have their hands free, or you cannot navigate a work site safely. Like you cannot climb a ladder with a tablet in your hand. You can't climb
Right.
scaffolding with a ladder in your hand.
Right. Right.
And so they're using it for that. And I use one of our Jervis packs for carpentry. One of my sons both work in construction, and occasionally they'll ask me to help out with something, and I use one of our Jervis packs with the addition of a nail pouch on it. It works great for
Okay.
that.
That's cool. It sounds like a really versatile product. We're going to have we'll have already seen all this product and we flashed it up on the screen and showed it in detail by now. And so, I just wanted to say thank you for reaching out. Sounds like you've got a really cool thing going on here. I do think that there's members that are watching my podcast that could find a good use for this. And so I'm happy and hopeful that people will find this compelling and reach out and see what your product has to offer. One thing, and I'm not sure how many you've watched, but there is one last thing that you're on the hook for, and it's called Words of Wisdom. And
Uh-oh.
I always take people, and I always take people off guard with it. Why don't you think about some good advice or a good story that you can tell people real quick before we go that leaves them with something to think about or something to feel good for?
When I think about the work that I've done, often I was focused on getting the job done, and I would sometimes forget what the most important thing was, and that was the people that I worked with, and making sure that you take the opportunity to provide coaching, mentoring when the opportunity presents itself. It just do right by your coworkers and look out for them. If you see somebody doing something that you don't think is particularly wise, make sure you point it out.
Love it.
Don't just get focused on getting the job done.
Right. You know what? Those are really good words of wisdom. We all do need to be paying attention to the people that are out there with us and saying something when we see something. So that's really good. That's really helpful. You know, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. Again, this is Fitek Gear. It's the Jervis and the Ruxton packs. I'm going to have the website and we're going to have all the information listed on the screen. Thank you so much for coming, Brian. This is Keith
Yeah.
Carden. I'm the Grizzled Geologist. Again, we'll make sure I'll be able to fix that. But make
Yeah,
sure you
no
like and
worries.
subscribe. And to all you field geologists out there, stop carrying all this stuff around. See ya. Thanks, Brian.
All right. Thank you, Keith.
You have to work for it. Don't be crazy. And work for your money.